Hey everyone, Pete here with Pete's How To's and Reviews. Today I want to talk about a frustrating issue that I've been dealing with, a clogged AC drain. For over 3 years I've lived in this home, never had any major issues with my AC, and luckily this is the only issue I've had so far. But recently my AC started shutting off due to a clogged drain line. Now in the past I've dealt with this by using a shop vac to clear the drain, and it would be fine for quite some time, just like I did in my previous home. However, in this house it seemed like it was a temporary fix. After 1 to 3 days, the drain would clog again and the AC would stop working. I needed a more effective solution, so I wanted to flush the drain with water without causing any type of damage to my unit. I even considered using like a rubber plug or something to prevent the backflow, but I was worried it would fall into the pipe and give me even bigger problems. So I scrapped that idea. After some research, I found a contraption on Amazon and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. This idea was awesome. I want to say I could have thought about that idea, but maybe I could have. I don't want to take, full responsibility for my mind. It's a possibility I could have came up with this idea, but somebody else figured it out before me. That's all I'm saying. I ain't trying to, make a big deal about it. So I ended up taking that idea and I bought my own parts and I created my own contraption. It's exactly like the one online, except I put it together myself. Why did Peter put it together himself? Because of the fact is my AC kept going off and it was hot and I did not want to wait a day, 2 or 3 for this item to come in. I don't even think it's on Amazon Prime. So I didn't want to wait, so I decided to put my own together. Now, I do recommend you buying it just from Amazon. I have the link in the description. Because of the fact it's already together, there's no thinking involved, no measuring. Really, the only thing you need to measure is the section of pipe you got to cut out to insert the new unit. But that's it. So it's a lot easier to deal with if you just buy the one on Amazon. Check out the video. If the video solves your problem, please hit the like button, subscribe, share. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments and I'll be more than happy to try to answer them for you in a timely manner. Normally it takes about 2 to 3 days for me to get to those comments. Go ahead and leave your question and as soon as I see it and I have time, I'll go ahead and respond to it. So stay tuned, enjoy this video. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. So here's your material list. You'll need 3/4 inch PVC ball valve, 3/4 inch PVC pipe, 3/4 by 3/4 inch T with socket, hose end shutoff, PVC cement, PVC pipe cutter, and Teflon tape. So the first thing we're going to do is wrap the hose end with Teflon tape, go counterclockwise, and then you're going to insert that hose end into the 3/4 inch T, cut approximately 2.5 inch section of PVC pipe. That PVC pipe that you're going to cut is going to be inserted into the 3/4 inch PVC ball valve and the 3/4 inch T. Keep in mind you might not have to buy a whole pipe. You could probably use just your existing pipe, and that's what I end up using. You'll just have to clean it up a little bit. Once your pipe is cut and you have that piece ready to go, you're going to apply the PVC cement. The primer may be necessary. Some plumbers might say you don't need it, but use your best discretion or just ask a plumber if they would recommend doing that. Just let them know that there will be some water pressure in there from the hose. So it's not just going to be a drain line. You're going to apply water pressure. But I end up using the PVC primer on the ends of that pipe that I cut and also on the inside of the PVC ball valve and the T. Then you're going to connect your PVC ball valve and the T to the pipe. Once again, add your primer if you feel it's necessary, but you'll also add your glue in the same sections that you added your primer. This is how the flow should be. The inside AC unit, which is the air handler, will be the start of the flow. So from the air handler, it's going to flow outwards. And as you can see in this illustration, you're going to see the flow pointing downwards and away from the unit. Be sure that the ball valve is installed between the air handler and the hose connection. And keep the ball valve open at all times unless performing a drain cleaning. Also keep the hose end valve closed at all times unless connecting a hose for cleaning. So just to reiterate, that ball valve should be open at all times. When you're ready to do your cleaning, you close it, and the purpose of closing the ball valve is to prevent any water from the hose to get pushed back into your AC unit. So be sure to close that And then at that point, you connect your hose and you open the valve for your hose the water could go into the drain line. Be very careful when using this unit. I'm telling you this now, and maybe I might mention this later, because you're going to have water flow in there. And if nothing's connected properly, you could have a disaster. So use at your own discretion, and I am not responsible for any mistakes you make. Okay? That's it. Let's keep it moving. This is how my setup looks. There's a vertical piece. There's a 90 goes into the wall, and then from there goes into the ground and under my concrete slab. This horizontal unit, as you can see, it's sloped a little bit. That comes from the AC unit. And that open piece, that's where your float goes in. The purpose of the float is when your pan fills up with water, it turns the AC unit off, preventing any potential issues with flooding or anything like that. So that's how it looks from the AC unit. And what I'm doing here is I'm measuring both pieces together. Both pieces together measure at about 7 inches. The inside of the couplings of those connections are 1 inch. So you got to do your math and say, okay, I got 1 inch for the ball valve, I have 1 inch for the T, and maybe I want a 1/2 inch in between. You could do a lot less. I think I did too much. I believe I did a 1/2 inch. And at that point, you just cut what you think you need. Your first cut, you want to make sure that you're not going to be too close to your connection that goes into the wall. So for instance, I have a 90 that goes into the wall, and I want to make sure I'm not going to cut it under 1 inch and then have a problem trying to connect the T. So I did about 1.5 inches from the 90 that's currently there. And you don't have to cut right on the line. I cut a little bit above the line just to be safe, and that's how it would go. Which technically that valve that you see there wouldn't be there. It would actually be the T that's there. So I'm going to 1.5 inches. So you got the inch, and then I gave myself a 1/2 inch in between. So I'm cutting above it. If I make a mistake, at least I have a little bit of wiggle room there. Make sure you have some type of rag or towel underneath that work area so you have something to catch any water that drips. So the inside, once again, it's 1 inch. So I'm going to cut it at 2 inches. And then I'm adding a 1/2 inch for the space between the two connections. If I was to do it again, I wouldn't leave that much gap between the two pieces. I would have probably did a 1/4 inch. But I end up leaving more than I like personally. So that's not pushed in all the way, but that's the concept. It'd be facing that way. Except the shutoff for the hose connection is going to be on the right side of that pipe. Now you're going to find that there might be some paint on that pipe or some other stuff. Just make sure you clean it all up before you start gluing things together. So I got some paint there that I could easily scrape with my fingernail. But if you use a wet rag and rub it, it'll come off. The wet rag does pretty good if it's latex. That's the unit. This is how it looks when it's closed, and that's how it looks when it's open inside. And this is your ball valve, same thing. Open and close. It's a little hard at first. Clean the ends before applying any type of cement or primer. I did clean the inside of the pipe because I ended up using the existing pipe. So I didn't go out and buy another pipe. I just used the pipe that was there. It was in good shape other than it needing to be cleaned up. When you open the primer, just be careful with the primer because any type of movement once it's open, it makes a disaster. And also cover any work surface so you're not getting primer all over your countertop or whatever. It seems to stain anything it touches. And just go around in a circle. You don't have to go as aggressive as I did. I think I went a little too aggressive. It looks a little messy. And do the same thing with the inside part of those connectors. So this is a T that I'm doing. And then you got the ball valve that I'm doing the same thing. And you're going to do the same thing even with the glue. So you'll see. You don't have to be so messy. I'm just trying to do a video, watching out for the camera. I'm just giving you excuses why I did a mess, but really is no excuse. I could have been a little easier with it. Then we'll go over it with some glue or PVC cement to be technical. And then we're going to insert it. And I push it in, and then I kind of give it a little bit of twist to it, and then hold it in place for a little bit until I know it's not going to move. Sometimes, if you don't hold it long enough, it seems to want to push back out. And I do the same thing on that side. And I'm not a plumber, so if a plumber sees this, you can critique me on the comments if you like. That's great. Give me some tips. But I'm not a plumber. I know you guys have better ways of doing things. I know plumbing. I'm just not a plumber. All right, and I decided to face the shutoff for the hose to the right because it's out of the way. It can't get bumped by anything. But the connection for the hose and the shutoff valve or the ball valve is facing out. They're facing the same way. I'm lining it up and I'm making sure my slope for the drain is proper, and then I'm marking my place. So see how I'm pushing it down? I'm just making sure that I got enough pitch on my drain that it's not going to affect any free flowing water from draining. I'm going to cut on that line or around that area. I'm okay with a little more pitch if it's there, but I just don't want it pitching back into the unit. And I'm going to repeat the process with the primer. I'm going to do the primer and then the glue, and as you can see, that's how the water will flow from the hose, but I'm going to face the connection outwards. Push it down. Make sure you support the part you're attaching to so you're not going to break anything. And now it's there, and it's facing the way I want it to face. Keep in mind, if you have anything stored in that same area, that you're not restricting any access to that connection. And then I do the same thing on the top and push that in place as well. Hold it there for a little bit, and then we're good to go. Making sure everything works. Wipe up any excess glue or any mess you've made. And this is how it looks when it's installed. Once again, you got the shut off on that. I have it on the right side so it doesn't get in the way of anything. This is how the ball valve looks open from the inside of the pipe. And you see I got that pitch there. And that's how it looks connected. Like I said, the two pieces that are connected, the ball valve and the T, I could have had a smaller space. So if your space is smaller, just don't worry that you have to have a ½ inch or an inch. Just give yourself a smaller space. As long as everything's seated properly, you're good to go. I go ahead and reinsert the float. Make sure that's seated good. And then after that float's installed and there's no more water in the unit, if you do have water in your unit or in the line, you could go ahead and vacuum it out with a shop vac. That's the final results of how everything looked. That top piece of pipe was there already. That's access for you to pour any type of vinegar or whatever you use to clean into the line. But that's how it looks when it's all said and done. I do store some chairs to the left of that pipe. Please be cautious when you are doing this clean out with the water. So if you're not careful, you can give yourself a bigger problem than what you currently have. This is how it looks with the hose connected. My specific hose does have its own shutoff, but not all hoses have that. So that's where that shutoff on the actual hose connection comes in handy. Then if you want to go ahead and use it and do a cleaning, what you're going to do is you're going to close the ball valve, and then you're going to open your valve for the hose. And you might want to have somebody helping you with this. Just have somebody watching it, make sure no water squirts out all over the place. This is how it looks from the outside. As you can see, there's a bunch of gunk on the ground there, and that came from the line. And I tried to suck this thing out so many times, but that's it, guys. Hopefully you liked this video. Hopefully this helps you guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, share and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.